Chapter 4, Part 2. Giles Scallagrim stopped working at his Latin and came among the men. He wore a thick frieze jacket now and a catskin cap like any other sailor. His fine clothes were put away in his own sea chest in the after cabin. If it had not been for his dagger with the gold handle, no one could have told he was a great sea lord. He asked the man at the prow, "Did you spy land before the dark came on?" The man shook his head. So Giles Scallagrim asked Starcad, "How far have we settled in the last day?" Starcad said, "A hand's length, Jarl. One of my hands. They are longer than most other men's." Scallagrim smiled and said, "Then we can expect to keep afloat for 2 days more, if you don't mind rowing with the water round your necks. There should be land somewhere ahead of us, judging by the stars." One of the men said, "I was in the water on a skerry off Shetland for 3 days with the salt in one ear and out the other at every turn of the tide. Apart from the gulls that kept standing on my head, it was not so bad." Giles Scallagrim said, "You must put your leather hat on, Hrut, when we get down this time. It's no pleasure to have birds standing on one's head. Their claws are sharp." Then he passed down the longship and ordered a man to fetch up the thick barley beer from the forehold. That night no one slept, with the sea about their ankles and the beer passing round in an iron helmet for all to share. Gork saw to it that Bjorn drank with the grown men to keep his heart up. He had never tasted thick barley beer before. It was sweet and had a honey flavour. Before long he was feeling that he did not much mind about the sea coming into Reindeer. Then Bjorn remembered a silly Icelandic song his father used to sing, so he got up on a chest and sang it without being asked even. Snorpig had a curly tail, a curly tail, a curly tail. His head was as round as the top of a pail. Hey up for Snorpig. Snorpig had big brown eyes, big brown eyes, big brown eyes, and he was the jarl of all the styes. Hey up for Snorpig. When Snorpig met a lady sow, a lady sow, a lady sow, he'd smile and bend his knee full low. Hey up for Snorpig. But when he met another boar, another boar, another boar, he'd tread him into the farmyard floor. Hey up for Snorpig. Bjorn sang his song in a clear high voice, with the barley beer warm in his head and the sea wind cold on his cheek. And when he had finished, Giles Scallagrim said, "That is what I call poetry. You have no idea what a change it is after all the Latin I've been reading with friend Thorgort. I like your Snorpig boy, and you shall sing him every night till Reindeer goes down. Pigs are not good things to mention out at sea, I know, but your Snore is no common pig. Even if he does us no good, I feel that he is such a gentleman he will do us no harm." Bjorn said, "Thank you, Jarl. I could sing about him even better if I had a pair of mutton bone clappers to beat time with." Giles Scallagrim turned to Gork and said, "See that the boy has his bone clappers tomorrow." Gork went one better than that and made a drum for Bjorn of thin sheepskin stretched tight over an old embroidery frame that he'd picked up from somewhere, perhaps Spain. Gork forgot where. So after that Bjorn sang to the drum and the men became more friendly to him. Even Starcad smiled at him once, and that was a great deal, for when Starcad smiled, a man's head usually fell onto the floor. And the song must have brought some luck at least, for 2 days later they sighted a little island off Shetland and got into a cove there with the sea up to their waists now, only just in time. A shipwright named Einar lived there, and he had not only caulked the seams with good black pitch and rags, he also told them that the herring had come inshore, south along the Scotland coast, thicker than for 10 years. This made the Jomsviking so glad that Bjorn asked Gork why. Gork said, "When herring come inshore, the coast folk get excited, and they all go out in their little boats, their cobbles and curras, and forget to lock their doors, or even leave guards in the villages. So the thing to do is land a little higher up the coast, and then go overland and take the pickings. Fair's fair. They get the herring, we get the gold. Nothing comes of nothing in this world, lad. A man must pay for what he gets, so they must pay for the herring." After they had had this news and the ship was watertight, Reindeer could hardly wait to be off again. She seemed to know the herring were inshore and tugged at her mooring like a war horse that smells iron. So 2 months after they had left Iceland, they stood offshore from a Scottish wick, where they could see the blue smoke rising from the clustered houses of a village and see the tarred skin boats, the curraghs coming out in shoals to drag in the herring. Starcad allowed himself to say, "It must have been our lucky day when we found you on the shore, Icelander. I had thoughts of throwing you to the fishes as we came down through the ice sea, but after that pig song of yours and now the herring tidings, I am at the edge of changing my mind and letting you live. How would that suit you, Icelander?" Bjorn had got more used to this strange man now, and knew when he was jesting, so he smiled and nodded and even dared to answer, "That suits me well, Master Starcad. I am in your debt." But when he said this, Starcad's face went dark red, and he said angrily, "Never admit that you were in a man's debt, you donkey. No Jomsviking ever does that. A true man is in no one's debt but his own. Never forget that. All is between himself and God, himself and the king." He spoke so furiously that white froth came onto his lips, as though he might fall down in a fit. Bjorn had not been so frightened since the day Glam chased him onto the headland.